Welcome to the channel. In today's video, I'll be explaining if the Giants can make a deep playoff push. That's coming up on Brandon's Sports Talk. Thank you for joining me on the channel today, guys. Hope everybody's having a great day. Now, I'm going to start off with this. The New York Giants have a talented roster that can get them to a good playoff spot this year. Now I know they have a tough schedule. They have a tough schedule, a first place schedule, but I think that the Giants have a talented enough team to be able to win. Now the question is, will they get a deep playoff push? How will the O-line fare? And I'm gonna break all that down now. First, I want to start off with the quarterback, Eli Manning. We all know who Eli Manning is, 14th year in the league. He's going to throw a lot of interceptions. Just as a Giants fan, if you know Eli, everybody knows Eli Manning. Even if you're not a Giants fan, you know Eli Manning. He's going to give you an interception a game. If not a game, then every 2 games or something like that. But, sometimes he makes, just horrible decisions, but he needs to turn out interceptions. If he really wants to get to another Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl, he has to stop with the interceptions. I mean, that's going to be hard because he's been throwing them all his career, but he just has to stop the interceptions, bring the interceptions down a little bit, start making better choices throwing the ball, because if he throws the ball to the wrong team at the wrong time, it could be all over for the Giants' playoffs hope. Now, with that being said, we know what Eli Manning is about. Now let's take a look at the running game. They had Paul Perkins. He's okay running back. But the problem is they don't have a pound for pound guy that can really create his own space and actually get between the tackles, because now with this team, Paul Perkins can actually run, but the offensive line is just bad, which I'll get to in a minute. But Paul Perkins is okay, but they don't have a big running back since, Brandon Jacobs or Ahmad Bresh or even a Tiki Barber. They don't have that. So with Paul Perkins, he's a smaller running back, and Shane Vereen, he is a guy, he's not in between the tackles kind of guy. He's a screen pass, over the middle, line him up in the slot. That's what he is. He's not in between the tackles running back. So the Giants need a big running back that, can create his own holes that he can actually get through with the help of the offensive line. But Paul Perkins, he's decent, but he's not a typical New York Giants running back. They need a big running back. So Paul Perkins is okay. They need a bigger running back, but he'll have to do it for now because this is all that they really have. Now we're going to move to the wide receivers. Odell Beckham Jr., a top 3 receiver in this league. He's a top 3 receiver in this league, hands down, no questions asked. The talents that he has is just undeniable. He's a great receiver for this team. Brandon Marshall, he really wants to go to the playoffs this year. I think that the Giants can, and he can finally get his dream of at least making it to a playoff game, because he's a Hall of Fame caliber receiver, and he hasn't been to a playoff game in his career, which is just really sad. He's a tall receiver for Eli, the first tall receiver that Eli Manning has, basically since Plaxico Burress. He hasn't had a tall receiver. Remember, Odell Beckham Jr. is 5'11". He's not tall. Brandon Marshall 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", between up in that level, so it gives them extra height to be able to throw the ball up higher than Odell Beckham will be able to catch. They have Sterling Shepard in the slot, great slot receiver in the league. I think he's going to be a top 5 slot receiver as the years come, and he'll probably be the number 1 slot receiver in the league as the following years come. He's a good receiver in the slot, and I think he's going to do just good. Evan Ingram, to me, he was the second best tight end coming out the draft. Everybody's raving about him. Let him get acclimated to offense too. As you remember, everybody has to remember that he's a rookie. He's going to have a little slow time, but usually in the first 4 to 6 weeks, they're still getting into the offense and really getting the groove of it. So watch out for Evan Ingram. So Evan Ingram is going to be one of the best tight ends the Giants had since basically Martellus Bennett. He was only there for 1 year, so you can't really say that, but since Jeremy Shockey, I think he's really, really talented. Second best tight end in the draft to O.J. Howard, who went to Tampa Bay, but Evan Ingram, watch out for him. Let him take his time. Let him get acclimated. Don't rush, because if you rush a guy who's not ready or doesn't really know the offense like that much or doesn't have that much game experience, then they could potentially be a bust if you keep rushing him and rushing him. So let him relax, let him get his rhythm going. And they also had Rick Elson. Now, I thought when they signed him, he was a tight end / fullback. I thought that he was initially just going to be a fullback, but in the lineup, they had him as a tight end. But if I was a team to get some extra pushing room for the running backs, I would put Rick Elson at fullback so he can help Paul Perkins out in the backfield. The Giants really never have a fullback. To me, he's a guy that can be their fullback / tight end whenever they need to do a double tight end lineup. And they still have Darrell Adams, who was a rookie last year. He's still coming into his own, so be on the lookout for that. But Rhett Elson and Evan Ingram being a 2 tight end punch, that's what the Giants like to run. 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, running back out there. But if they want to run the ball because of the offensive line, they need Rhett Elson to be at the fullback, line up at fullback, and give extra blocking for Paul Perkins. Now, looking at the offensive line, the New York Giants. A lot of people say that the New York Giants have a bad offensive line. They do, but the point is with the offensive line is they have a good center. Weston Richburg is a good center. Justin Pugh is a good left guard. Those are their best offensive linemen. They don't have a left tackle. I'm sorry, Eric Flowers. Listen, I'm going to say it here first. If Eric Flowers does not improve this year, now he did decent, okay-ish, not like borderline okay. If he does not improve this year, he is a draft bust. It's over unless he moves to right tackle and rejuvenates his career. But being drafted as a left tackle, that's a lot of pressure. And I know that, the team is looking for him to be that guy. He has to improve. They said after the draft he was going to be slow. Then everybody's complaining that he's slow. No, they said it in the draft that he's a big offensive lineman, but he's just slow. Now, they say he did boxing in off season, lost like 10 to 20 pounds in off season, however much weight he lost. But he lost some weight so he can get faster and more mobile, moving on the line. That's a good thing for him to, lose that weight and stuff like that. But he needs to get better. Bobby Hart at right tackle, he was getting destroyed in the first openers in the season opener. I'm sorry. They need a new right tackle. And their right guard is okay. They have a decent right guard. And Fluker, they have a good right guard. But at the same time, for years to come, to have an offensive line, you need a good right guard. You need tackles, blind spots tackles. You need a good tackle. They just don't have any tackles right now. Eric Flowers, he played decent. He wasn't that great. Bobby Hart was just very, very terrible. I'm sorry. Like I said, I don't say anything personal about people, but it is what it is. I'm just, telling you the truth. I'm not lying to you. But so they have a good left guard and a good center. The rest of the offensive line is not that good. They need a good offensive line if they want Eli Manning to be able to throw the football and actually have time to throw the football. He has no time. No timing at all. He's always getting hit. And then every time there's pressure when he doesn't get hit, he throws the ball away because he thinks he's going to get hit. They just need to fix the offensive line. If they don't, I'm sorry. Some people in management just going to have to get fired. That you have basically a lot of people to say first ballot, but you have a good quarterback. One of the best playoff quarterbacks ever in Eli Manning, and still, just for some reason, you can't give him an O-line. The last 2 times they went to the Super Bowl, they had a good offensive line, but some of those O-linemen obviously had to retire because they were beat up after all those years. Now, with this time coming around, the defense is so good, and with the offense, the weapons that they have, the only thing that's holding them back is their offensive line. So they really, really need to address that. I can't stress that enough. They need tackles and they need another guard. They have a center left guard, but I can't stress that enough to you guys. Now, moving on to the defense, the Giants actually have 3 legit cornerbacks. Now, I want to, state this for everybody to know that before Eli Apple got there, Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie was an outside corner. But because, he's getting up there age, I'm not going to say get up there age because he's very, very fast. To me, he's one of the best slot corners now that is in the NFL because of how fast and quick he is, and you need a quick corner that can be in the slot. So they have Janoris Jenkins. They drafted Eli Apple last year. Now, Eli Apple last year was on the outside, but he mainly was in the slot too because, your first year, he was a nickel corner. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, more experience. So, but as time goes on, you need to start seeing, okay, can Eli Apple cover the outside? So now I saw, in their first game, they're starting to put Eli Apple on the outside, and they're putting Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie in the nickel. So He's a good nickel corner. So the Giants actually have, the Giants have three legit corners in Eli Apple, Diamond Roger Kamani, and Janoris Jenkins. Their safeties, Landon Collins, to me, he was, top 5 in Defensive Player of the Year last year and voting and stuff like that. And he's a really good, strong safety for this team. I think he's very, very good, and he's only going to get better for this team. Darian Thompson only played 3 games last year. He got hurt last year. He was out for the season. And Andrew Adams came in and filled in for him as he was gone for the remaining of the season that he was gone for. So I think that with Darian Thompson being back in the lineup, he played well before he got hurt, and having Andrew Adams who also stepped up, I think that it kind of gives them some flexibility just in case if, Thompson does something wrong and they can throw Adams out there, or if Adam does something wrong, they have Thompson. So I think that having those 2 free safeties piggyback off of each other will be a good thing. But Darian Thompson, let's see what he can do still. Remember, he was playing well. The first game of the season, he didn't start. He played so well that they actually moved him in to start the second game, and then he got hurt week 3. So let's just see how Darian Thompson is going to fare in his defense. And, as I said before, they have Andrew Adams. Now, looking at the defensive line, to me, this defensive line is top 5 in the NFL. Now, they have Olivier Vernon, who's very, very good. He's actually 100% healthy instead of having a broken hand. I don't know why he played with a broken hand last year. I don't know. But he's actually 100% healthy. They have Damon Harrison, a great defensive tackle, a really great guy inside who's a run stopper who can stop the run very, very, very well. So that's actually good for them in the middle. I know Jonathan Hankins left the team, but they drafted Dalvin Thompson from Alabama. Good player, solid defensive tackle. He'll probably be the second string because Jay Bromley is actually starting at D tackle, and he really, really impressed in the preseason. And I know when they put 5 men down, when they send that heavy blitz, they would usually bring in, like last year, they would Jonathan Hankins would come in, but they also would put Bromley in too. So with Hankins leaving, it gives him some time to see what he can be as a defensive tackle. But I think Dalvin Thompson, in the long run, will be the defensive tackle for this team. Jason Pierre-Paul, he's back to his normal self. Everybody's going to say he had an injury. That don't matter right now. He's playing really, really well. He played well last year. Preseason, he did an amazing job, so he's only going to get better and better. So just look out for that defensive line. I think that this is top 5. I think this defensive line behind Seattle is probably the second best defensive line in football. Now, I know they have Minnesota and different other teams, but this team's defensive line is very, very good. Now, let's move on to the linebackers. The linebackers now, they really have a good strong side linebacker in Devin Kennard. Jonathan Casillas is their weak side linebacker. If people don't know, a strong side linebacker is the one that covers the tight ends. Those are the guys that, unless you're running a 4-3 defense, that you have the nickel guys out there a lot, the slot corner, the nickel guy. But you have those guys out there. Usually the strong side linebacker is not in the game because it's usually not in the game. They'll switch over to the weak side. So Devin Kennard being the strong side linebacker, he's very, very good. I think he's very, very good. And they have him. They also have Jonathan Casillas at the right. So Jonathan Casillas being at the right, he's a veteran experience. He won 2 Super Bowls, one with New Orleans and one with New England. And him bringing that veteran expertise to this team is actually very, very good. They have B.J. Goodson, who they drafted in the 3rd round, if I'm not mistaken. But they drafted him in the 3rd round. Now, he's their middle linebacker. Now, to me, B.J. Goodson can be good. We still have to see what he's about because the New York Giants don't usually have good middle linebackers. So, with him being there, I think that if he brings attitude, and he played really, really well in the first game, but let's just see how he goes. Not to get too hyped yet, but we're going to see how B.J. Goodson plays. If he plays very well this season, he's most likely going to be their middle linebacker moving forward, and I have no problem with that. You play well, you can be the guy on the team, but I think B.J. Goodson will do very, very good. Now, their linebacking spots, I mean, if you look at the team overall, that's the part on the defense that's really, really missing is like a lot of people say the whole defense, you have good safeties, you have good corners, but your linebackers are so. But like I said, Jonathan Casillas is a good veteran on the right, on the weak side. Middle linebacker B.J. Goodson still coming into his own. Let him come into his own. And Devin Kennard as a strong side linebacker is a very, very good strong side linebacker. Now, with that being said, guys, hope you guys enjoy the video. Please leave a thumbs up, share with your friends, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. And I will be back next time with more content right here on Brandon Sports Talk.